Welcome to another edition of the Gould-Fish Pod. I am Matt Gould.
And I'm Ryan Fish.
And we're going to jump right into it this week after a gigantic Revolution episode that we did last week with Big Dave. This week, we're going to start it off. We do have a little bit of news to talk about. The first, not the best piece of news that you want to hear, Big E tonight on Smackdown took a belly-to-belly suplex where he did not get all the way over, and it landed very poorly on his neck. He was stretchered off and taken to the hospital, and right before we started the recording, I actually watched his Twitter video. He's already put a video. This dude is the most positive man of all time. He's already put out a video about how of course, the first thing he does is thank all the people who have been sending him well wishes already, and says that he can move all of his appendages. Doesn't appear to be any type of paralysis or anything like that, but unfortunately, the doctors have presumed that he has a broken neck. So that could be the best outcome, is a broken neck with no nerve damage. So hopefully he's doing well, and just things that you really don't want to see happen.
Yeah, and a speedy recovery, especially with, necks. You want to make sure those take, all the precaution in the world. So
yeah, it's unfortunate too. You don't want it to happen to anybody, but it always seems to find the nicest dudes or the people with the best reputation. So best wishes to Big E. I'm sure he'll hear this, but we wish you the best, Big E.
Yes, the podcast is pulling for you.
The next bit of news from the same show, not nearly as heavy. In fact, it almost doesn't even feel right switching to this, but Pete Dunne did his debut on Smackdown, aligning himself with Sheamus and Ridge Holland, who was the guy that had wrestled Big E. And he's not Pete Dunne anymore. He is Butch.
Butch.
So, Fish, you've seen some NXT takeovers more towards the prime of the NXT takeover, but I know you're not as familiar with the NXT name. But let me tell you, as someone who really watched NXT religiously for a while, it is the most obnoxious thing to see these dudes come up to the main roster and all of a sudden they have to have a new name. It's so preposterous.
I mean, you had Keith Lee become Bearcat Keith Lee.
And that one was bad too, because he didn't even start as Bearcat. He was Keith Lee and then just randomly became Big Bearcat with no explanation.
Yeah, I mean, the only person, I guess, who hasn't changed names is Ricochet, but he's just a throw-in dummy at this point.
Hey, take that back. He's the United States champion or the Intercontinental champion.
He's my guy, but he's a throw-in dummy.
So interesting that those middle tier titles in the WWE don't do shit for anybody because of how they're used.
See, the TNT Championship has a higher praise than the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Intercontinental Champion is usually a solid wrestler, but I don't know. It just feels like there are way more, like the people who want the TNT title on AEW are just presented so much more seriously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's the big SmackDown news. I didn't even watch the show. I actually saw some of that news as I was scrolling through Twitter during Rampage commercials. So the bigger piece of news, something that everybody's been talking about, probably too much. Everybody's wondering, where's he going to go? Is he going to sign somewhere? Is he going to show up at WrestleMania? What's he going to do? And that man is Bron Breaker.
Bron Breaker.
Recently lost the NXT title to Dolph Ziggler, and a lot of the speculation for that is that it's because he is going to show up on Raw. He didn't show up on SmackDown tonight, at least not that I saw. So it would make sense that they're fast-tracking this guy because he is quite good, he is quite young, and he is exactly what they think of when they see main eventer of WrestleMania. So news is he could be on the rise, and you were the one that kind of alerted me to this being a prevalent thing.
Yes, so I did see that he had one match. I don't know if it might have been on Raw. It was like a tag match or something.
He was on there. I just don't remember what he did.
And then sounded like he had a good showing. I didn't watch the match, but it sounded like he had a good showing. And ever since then, it's been when's he coming up? So that's when I was just like, for that title match, I was like, I don't think he's gonna win because they made it really seem like he was like literally coming up like the exact same week that he like debuted. So that's
and also, if you're a regular WWE watcher, and this goes for NXT as well, because it's become WWE-ified, and it's just they do main roster shit now. But one of the things they love to do is right before a guy is about to win a title, they'll beat him, because it doesn't matter if we beat him, he's going to end up winning anyways, which it's just, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but they do it so often that like I pretty much I was convinced that Dolph Ziggler was winning this title some way or another.
You know that Bron Breaker was not going to be the one pin, so Tommaso Ciampa was the odd man out.
Yep, which hate to see it. He was such a fixture and such an important part of that show, and I mean he still is. It's just it feels like we're probably never going to get
out the door.
The Tommaso. Yeah, we're never going to get. He might even be brought up to the main roster because I think he has been doing some things on Raw or SmackDown as well. So who knows? But it just feels like the days of the Tommaso Ciampa takeover main event incredible match is probably a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite stat for a while was that there's more 5-star matches from NXT than there were in Raw or SmackDown.
There was more 5-star matches in NXT. I don't know if this is the stat. It's either they have the most 5-star matches or their highest, like their average rating was higher than any other show. It wasn't just the WWE shows. It was, they had the best average match rating, I think, out of any company, or it might have been most 5-star matches. But like the controversy was Meltzer's star ratings. And if you actually go back and look at them, he rates NXT matches higher than he rates, or at least he used to before it became what it is. But it's interesting that you bring that up though, because that is quite the stat. It wasn't long ago that was what NXT was.
And like 3-4 guys, it was, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Ricochet,
Keith Lee.
Yeah, Keith Lee. So, I mean, when you just say those 5 names, you're like, I can't even tell you who's on the roster, the main rosters. I don't even know. So,
and it's funny you mentioned it's funny we mentioned Keith Lee in this because he was the double champion in NXT, and of course, after he won the titles, he immediately just vacated one, begging the question, what was the point? And there's been a lot of people who have sat here and speculated and wondered what's going to happen between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Because it's a title for title match. So one of them is going to end up with 2 titles. And I hope to God they just unify them and send the champion on both shows, because that would probably be better off for their.
Definitely would help their ratings.
Yes. But there's every chance that they just make the guy give one of them up. So I just don't even know what the point of the speculation is. It's either going to be unified or they're going to make him give one up immediately. Because if you think about it, Raw and SmackDown are on separate networks. One's on Fox, the other's on a cable channel, USA. And I feel like one's not going to be too happy if the other has the champion on more often and there isn't a title. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I just thought it was funny because Keith Lee was in a similar scenario and there was no question, just give up the title.
Incredible.
But that's most of the news. Is there anything else you saw that you want to bring up?
You were going to bring up some Cody news.
Oh, that's right. The Cody news is that there's still no Cody news, and yet there are still a ton of people talking about it. At this point, I still feel like he's going to end up at WWE just because it feels like I don't have it. There's no real reports. That's why I'm I don't know why people are talking about it as much as they are. There's nothing that can be confirmed, and clearly nothing before could be confirmed because look where we are. But yeah. I feel like it has lost steam, and I don't know. It just feels like if he does end up going to WWE, which is what I feel is going to happen, it feels like the momentum, which, by the way, Raw on Monday is in Jacksonville. So if there was ever a day to debut him, if you have him under contract, that's the day, right in the heart of AEW country. But if they don't have him under contract and he just ends up like a last-minute WrestleMania match, it just feels like this is building to what will be a lackluster debut for him if it doesn't get sorted out.
They did not strike while the iron was hot. That's all I can say.
And I don't like when I see people talk about how Cody's going to fail in WWE or that why would he go there with the creative? It's like, it would be horrible for Cody to go there and fail for the WWE's sake, because who the hell else is going to join unless they're being paid an enormous amount of money? And even then, at what point do you not want to sell out? I just, some of it's that bad, but I don't know. I think the Cody situation has been a little drawn out and overplayed at this point. Wherever he ends
it has fizzled out for sure.
Yeah. But we'll see where he goes. There was a word that the idea for WrestleMania was him versus Seth Rollins, but they technically don't know for sure that they can do that because they don't have him under contract. So we'll see. I don't know. They just can't have nice things, and they can't have them easily, the WWE, I swear.
No, not at all.
But that brings us to the main events for the night. We'll start with Dynamite from Wednesday. Fish, why don't you kick us off by telling us what you thought of the fallout from Revolution, which admittedly isn't as catchy as the fallout from All Out.
Yeah, the fallout from All Out. That's the best one. But yeah, I definitely thought it was a good show. Like the wrestling itself was good. Definitely some questionable, I guess, ways that they went about it. But overall, the wrestling was good. I enjoyed the show, like as a whole. But yeah, it's just like some of those little things that like didn't necessarily make sense, but it was all right. That's all I can say is like some was like all right, but like still good. I enjoyed it.
So in some people's minds, and I know we're working with limited viewership, but even in some of those few viewers' minds, this might be the episode where I go heel.
I'm wearing my FTW.
Well, you've always been a heel.
So yeah, I'm always
you don't act like it. You're a fan favorite heel. But the reason I say that is because I have never had more criticisms with the Dynamite show that I ultimately really enjoyed.
Right. Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that.
And it starts with the fact that just 3 nights after a pay-per-view, there were 3 title matches, 2 of which were defended 3 days ago, 1 of which was announced at the last minute. And then Sammy had to defend his TNT title after going through a 6-man street fight where he nearly killed himself on multiple occasions. So, like, I get it. It's wrestling, and you can do what you want, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. But to me, like, it's just the immersion breaking thing. Like, I get Dante Martin rose in the rankings, and we'll get to that match, but Hangman just fought a war. Like, in no real sports league would anybody be asked to do that. And in the Jurassic Express case, they insisted on defending the titles, apparently. They wanted to defend them. Okay, well, if I'm the promoter, no. The answer is no. You want an 8-man tag with 2 other teams and set up a new program? Sure, but it was just a 3-way tag match. A brutal one for all guys. And I don't know. It's just like, as far as the real sports go, they cite the rankings, but then they do things that would never happen in a real sports league. So that was like the theme of the show for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we'll definitely touch on those subjects as we go through it. But yeah, I mean, it definitely, like I said, doesn't necessarily make the most sense. I can definitely still understand if like, maybe at the pay-per-view, I don't know, like Hangman or Jurassic Express be like, you know what, we are going to defend it like next week. Like, make a statement and just kind of like not knowing either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like I went in not knowing. So that's where it's like, if you're going to do it, like, make the claim on the pay-per-view to come out and just say like, yeah, we're going to defend it next week. I don't care. We're feeling good. Something like that to like justify it.
And I know that the strategy with announcing the world title match last minute is that the idea of announcing a world title match at the last minute actually has proven to like increase and improve ratings in the past. But I don't know. They could have worked before the pay-per-view to set something up after, or like there could have been something. Instead, it's just, hey, here's this guy in the rankings and our champion is forced to fight him. Like, it could have even happened on Rampage and been more acceptable.
Yeah, at least you would have gotten a few more days off.
Even though it's filmed on the same day, like it doesn't matter. Like to most people watching, like even I, who knows it's taped, I forget about it while I'm watching the show in most cases.
Right.
But anyway, we might as well kick it off. Take us through the show.
Yep. Yeah. To open the show, we had Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. Which, wow, that was a great part. That was a great segment.
That was everything that you've been wanting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was great.
And I've also never seen someone address the what chance the way.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Eddie did that. He literally just. I don't think there's going to be another what chant in AEW.
I hope not. And hopefully if they try it again, there's now a format for how to shut it down immediately. But that was one of my favorite parts of the promo that he had was shutting down the crowd, the assholes who needed to chant what. It's not even like it was boring. It was a great segment. They were just being assholes for the sake of being assholes.
Did they get kicked out? I thought they.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, unless they were doing something to bother other people around them, you can't kick them out. They paid their money. They can chant what they want.
I know. I thought I saw like some security in the background, like kind of walk over towards them.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I didn't pay attention that closely.
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. The promo of the segment, I think, great talking points through and through.
Yeah,
like, it's definitely the realism that Eddie brings.
Jericho played it up like he was going to be a man of his word and honor what he had said about shaking Eddie's hand after beating him, and actually did go through with it, shook his hand.
I was going to say, he did do it.
And then 2.0 attacked. And I thought it was really creative how they did this because one of them came over and like kind of gave Jericho a shove. And I just remember thinking, well, that looked horrible. Like that looked really bad. And turns out it was supposed to look bad because Jericho then sat there in the corner cowering, holding his neck for selling his match from the pay-per-view. And they were never supposed to hit him because they were going to turn on everybody and align with Chris Jericho. So even that little detail, like I loved that because it would have made no sense for Jericho to say, hey guys, just beat the shit out of me. Just go ahead. And then we'll turn on him.
Right, right.
Not necessary. So I thought it was pretty clever the way they did that. And Santana and Ortiz, what happened was they ran down for the save. Jericho hits him with Floyd the Bat. And then those four and Jake Hager, the four being Jericho, Daniel Garcia, Matt Lee, and Jeff Parker. Hager comes down, aligns with them, and we now have the Jericho Appreciation Society, a new group of guys for Jericho to help their careers.
Yeah, he's going to give him the rub. Give him the Jericho spotlight, so to speak.
And I think that those guys are the right kind of goofy to play off of Jericho. Squarehead, especially.
Yes. And then I know you made the comment about the naming convention.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's not something that other people haven't said, but I mean, they have 2.0 in the group. They really missed out on an opportunity for this to be the Inner Circle 2.0, and it actually make like more sense than anyone thought possible.
Logical sense. Yes.
But oh well, I'll take the Jericho Appreciation Society. As a heel, it's a funny name.
Yeah, no, it's good. But yeah, I mean, what a way to start.
It was electric beginning, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then we moved right on into the video package that kind of revisited the CM Punk and MJF match.
Yep. Great recap. If they weren't going to start the show with it, they needed that right there.
Right. I mean, it had to be one of the first two things. Then after that, we went to the AEW World Championship Hangman Page versus Dante Martin.
And see, I didn't even check Twitter before this because I had like a life and had things to do. So I wasn't on Twitter like all day before this. And then all of a sudden there's a world title match and I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, whatever. I get it, rankings. And I kind of already detailed why I was displeased with it. It just doesn't make any sense logically for a promoter to have his champion do that or for the champion to agree to it. And then it makes Dante Martin. I know it doesn't matter in the end, but if we're talking logic, Dante Martin, did he wrestle on the pay-per-view? I don't recall him wrestling at the pay-per-view. And Hangman took him out in 8 minutes.
Right.
After going through a half-hour war with Adam Cole where he landed on his head 3 or 4 times. So I don't know. Like what it does for Dante Martin doesn't. Like, I think they're overstating what exactly that whole segment does for Dante Martin. He's done plenty on his own to put him in a better position.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely kind of set that up to where he's like needs to rely on the tag team instead of staying that singles. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it just doesn't.
They did some cool things, but like it wasn't Hangman's best match. It was far from Dante Martin's best match, and it was just ended up being a thing on a show to set up Adam Cole challenging Hangman to a 6-man, which was the next part of the show where he came out. He was being a total sore loser. I mean, it was pretty funny, and I'll take another Hangman versus Adam Cole match, especially if it leads to the return of Kenny in some way, shape, or form in storyline. But that was what the match was there for, to apparently put over Dante Martin, which I don't know what it did for Dante that hasn't already been done.
He's already over.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And now he has to move down the singles rankings, which but yeah, so that set up the 6-man. Adam Cole challenged him. They each have to pick 2 partners, which just for spoiler purposes, try and cut down on some time. The match is Adam Cole and Red Dragon versus Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Hangman Adam Page, and we'll get to the segment that sets it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was a Tony Khan announced like some match. I forgot what it was called that they said it was like a terminology thing, but there was the Pac Wheeler Yuta thing. It was like, a hot shot. What is it?
Standby match.
Standby, yes.
It's the
I never heard of that before. Yeah.
It's the match they keep in the tank if the world title match doesn't go to the time limit or doesn't take as much time as you thought, which it's a good thing they had one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, after that was announced, we went to the Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley with William Regal versus the Workhorsemen.
JD Drake and Anthony Henry, who I saw live against Filthy Tom. Great match. This was everything you wanted it to be. These guys just beat the shit out of these 2 workhorsemen. Danielson and Moxley hit finishers at the same time. One on the outside, one on the inside. And they made relatively easy work out of the Workhorsemen, which set up William Regal's long promo.
Yeah. He gave the background information on Danielson and Moxley.
He did. It was pretty awesome, actually. I really enjoyed it. It was clear that William Regal was emotional being there with Tony Schiavone all these years later. And I would later find out that Schiavone was one of the first people to help Regal with some of his promos back when he was younger, which wild to think that Tony Schiavone was given that code. I mean, I'm sure he's great, but it's just funny to think about.
It's Tony.
So he tells a story about how he's had some hardships in his life and that Bryan Danielson is the perfect wrestler. He's the wrestler that William Regal should have been if he hadn't had so many issues in his personal life. And he later turned to Moxley and said that Moxley is the guy who complements Danielson perfectly because Moxley is willing to take it to the next level that others might not. And so Regal just insisted that he needs to be there with these guys when he heard Bryan Danielson talking about him on TV. And it was an awesome promo. He says that anybody who wants to step in the ring with these 2 guys is not going to be happy with the outcome. And I was just through the moon seeing William Regal just get to be a character on a wrestling show that isn't a GM that gets one line every 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, as hearing him talk, you're just like, I was just enamored by it. Like, it was just like one of those things where I just like sat down and actually like listened.
Yep. I wanted to hear what he had to say, and apparently a lot of others did too.
Yeah, no, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed what he had to say.
And I can't wait to see what these 2 do in the tag team division. It might be time to start releasing some of these other tag teams that are getting way too much TV time, which the party people, maybe get rid of them. There are some teams, seriously, though, that if they don't start just being job teams, like I don't need to see them more than I already do on TV if we've got the amount of teams that we have.
Right. Good teams. The depth.
Yes.
So then after that, we threw backstage to where the Dark Order asked Hangman who he was going to team with.
And his explanation was hilarious.
He saw a dinosaur and a Jungle Boy in the hallway, and they pressured him to say the tag.
And the funny thing is that he said that both of them wanted their hands on the Young Bucks because that's who Hangman thought Adam Cole was going to pick originally. And he didn't want to say no. Like, what was he supposed to do? So he just agreed to it. And he and Reynolds are having a little beef from when Hangman looked up and was kind of just, I don't know. He was in the thick of things. People were in his face. I would have pushed Alex Reynolds out of the way too. Yeah, exactly. So I hope that the Dark Order isn't going to be a bunch of pansies about this.
No, we hope that they're just not going to be total geeks about it.
Although they did seem disappointed.
They were disappointed.
I did feel a little bit bad, but not that much.
And then after that, we went to the Pac and Wheeler Yuta match.
It was what it was. They find a way to get that obnoxious, annoying, whiny Orange Cassidy and Best Friends music on there all the time.
The Fairweather Friends.
Yeah, I don't like the circus clown music that the Best Friends come out to. I don't like the Orange Cassidy music. I'm not into the presentation. It is good that Orange Cassidy isn't hurt to the point where he needs surgery, though.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, so I'm glad that he's okay.
Yeah,
but the match was the match. What did you think of Wheeler Yuta?
He's not bad. Like, I don't not like him out there because he's wrestled Moxley a few times and it's not been bad.
No.
So I mean, very serviceable. I definitely see improvements kind of each time he's out there. So that's always nice to see. Is just he is getting better, I think.
Yeah.
In my eyes, he's getting better. So
I never mind watching him wrestle. I just always wonder why. I just wonder what exactly some people are looking at it at. There are people who I saw reacting during the show on Twitter that were he could be the next Jungle Boy or Sammy Guevara, where they lose all the time in the process of eventually winning the big one. And I just, maybe it's because he's associated with the Best Friends, but I don't see that for Wheeler Yuta. I see a solid
not
wrestler.
At the moment, at least.
No,
what I'm saying?
I see a guy who could perform the Tony Nese role eventually. That's what I see. And that's not a Sammy Guevara. But that's no knock. They're both great. It's just presentation on the show. We've talked about it a lot of times.
And I guess I do, I would like to give him credit here because he is working with kind of the best people in the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's I don't know if he's necessarily handpicked or anything, but definitely good enough and has probably a good enough reputation to get picked by Moxley, Pac, and, a few others.
Oh, he's more than a good enough wrestler that I'm sure people want to wrestle him.
So, yeah. And then we went to the Cutler Cam after this match. And
those
Adam
guys
Cole,
still aren't on the same page, man.
Yeah, Adam Cole is had to break up the fighting between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, and then picked the Red Dragon.
Yes, which according to Adam Cole, he was going to pick anyways, even after the Young Bucks said that they wouldn't do it because they're not doing it with Hangman anymore. And Adam Cole, well, I wasn't going to pick you guys anyway. Okay. Fun little segment. I love when they yell at Landon.
Yeah. The Cutler Cam's the best. That's always a treat.
They need their own graphic for the Cutler Cam, though.
Yes,
there's nothing that differentiates it from just a regular backstage interview.
Besides Brandon Cutler, before he gets yelled at to turn it off, he'll have a comment. Oh, man. So then after that, we went backstage yet again.
A lot of talking on the show, but I didn't hate it.
We went to FTR and Tully Blanchard.
This was surprising, but and a lot of people were pissed at how nonchalant the firing of Tully Blanchard was, but I thought this was pretty, for the plot twist that it was, I enjoyed it. The Pinnacle's falling apart.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me is that Tully's right in this scenario. He's right and he gets fired. That's funny to me.
Yeah, it's always hard to disagree with a guy who's sitting there talking about how it's all about his family or whatever. But dude, you're here, you're on the show. You might as well go for some championships like that.
Well, Tully's we won a championship. Let's get back to it. And they're no, we're not going to.
Nope.
All right. You don't. Is winning a championship not what you want to do?
Apparently
not. No.
they've got their sights on other things right now. But yeah, so they unceremoniously fired Tully Blanchard, and I don't have any. I haven't heard this anywhere or read it anywhere. I haven't seen it as a rumor. But based on how much they've been just referencing Bret Hart and talking about him on social media, like I feel like they're going to try and get Bret Hart as their manager.
Yeah, I mean I've seen that enough to where I guess I know Bret Hart. He was there for the inaugural All Out or something. He was
the Double or Nothing, the unveiling of the championship belt.
But I mean, I love Tully. Like
he'll find something to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I just was like, looking at it from a sport perspective. Winning a championship is kind of the goal and everything, and you just fired a guy who wants to take you back.
I'm telling you, the only one with his eyes on the prize in the Pinnacle right now, and he's not even in the Pinnacle anymore, is Wardlow.
And he's going after a championship.
Yes. Yeah. Shows what happens. Wardlow's doing it for his family. Why the fuck can't FTR win championships for their family? Whatever.
It's the same thing. So last thing, it is literally the same thing as like Jericho and Santana and Ortiz. Like, is it Jericho's fault that Santana and Ortiz kept losing like championships?
I don't know.
What does having a family deter you from winning a championship now?
See, it's like some of this nonsense that you would like not on the show after the pay-per-view. But I did like the surprise of the firing.
I did.
And maybe we're supposed to like Tully instead of FTR in that situation. I have no idea. But we'll see where it goes.
Let's get back to winning. No, we don't want to.
No, we're good. It's not what this is about. Okay.
I thought the comparison, having a family and winning a championship, I don't know why you can't do both, but all right.
Yeah, whatever.
Then we went to the AHFO emergency board meeting.
This was so simple, and it was exactly what it needed to be, and because of that, I liked it. The board of directors meeting, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but apparently Butcher and Blade, they didn't get a vote.
They didn't have any stake in it.
They were just there. They weren't members of the board. But it was done very basic. Matt Hardy called for the vote, and Private Party immediately gave him the thumbs up, while Jose and Andrade gave him the thumbs down. Matt Hardy said, "See, look, everybody's got my back. Like, I'm going to stay in here. I'm going to make it up to you, blah, blah, blah." And then the Private Party dorks turn the thumb down, and Matt Hardy gets brutally beaten down before Darby and Sting run out to try and make the save, but the numbers game catches up to him. Also that they could do a little tease before they debuted Jeff Hardy to the original Hardy Boys music. Jeff runs out behind the tunnel. He does his little dance, stops to do his little jive before he continues down the ramp, because of course he does. And then he proceeds to clear house, and the Hardy Boys go to work. Twist of Fate, Swanton Bomb. The kid in me was so happy to see the Hardy Boys being like shown respect on a wrestling television show for the first time in what feels like a long, long time, even though it was as recently as 2016, 2017 with Ring of Honor. But still, that's a lot of years now. I mean, that's 6-7 years.
It's 2022.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved how they had the music. Like, hearing that music was just, I got to pop out of that one for sure.
People always forget how big the Hardys were until their original music plays and they're there together.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. There was just the whole vibe. Like, that segment just really, kind of hit home.
Yeah, not every segment that AHFO did was a winner, but if it led to this, I'm okay with it.
And even some of their winners, like, that weren't like, that necessarily. There was always one part of the AHFO that was like just funny. Like, they were
with
just
that
like,
cast of characters, they constantly found a way to have some type of redeeming quality in those segments.
Yes.
Yeah.
After that, through to Shane Swerve Strickland backstage with I think it was Alex Marvez. Oh, no, it was Tony. It was Tony Schiavone.
Because he needed to get interrupted.
by the premier athlete. Is that what his name is? Tony Nese?
I think so. Yeah. It was fine. It just set up a match for Rampage, which we can talk about more in detail on Rampage. Yeah. It was just a little backstage thing.
After that, Wardlow coming to the ring for his promo.
For a guy who has never had to speak more than a few sentences at a time, this was outstanding. This was so good.
Knocked it out of the park.
He really did. If you weren't going to give us MJF or CM Punk on the show, and Wardlow is your guy, he had to deliver, and he absolutely did.
I think he put above and beyond what I expected.
Yeah. He told the story about how he's only been in this wrestling industry for so long, and he's not used to growing up with money, and all he ever wanted to do was support his family, and he knew Max wasn't a good guy, but what he did know is that Max could get his foot in the door and could help him provide for his family and
know the right people.
Yes. And he knew that was his in. And at first he thought he could put up with it, and he knew he was under contract, and like any good man, he wanted to honor it. But he crossed the line when he got physical with him, and he crossed the line even more so when he brought Wardlow's family into it, saying that he'd put him on the streets and pull Wardlow's contract. And Wardlow doing it for his family, leaving the bad man for his family, but in the process, going to win a title. Not that hard.
I think FTR should have taken some notes on that one.
They should have gone with Wardlow.
They should have apologized to Tully for saying, "Hey, you're right. We're just idiots. We don't want to win championships."
Sorry, Tully. I'm
anti FTR. I'm putting my foot down there.
They're on your hate list right now?
They're on my they don't want to win championships. Why should I watch you?
Right alongside Sammy Guevara, who cares too much about championships that he carries the same one around twice.
We're gonna get to that one. I'm gonna have to blow some steam off on that one. But God bless, man.
I know.
But Wardlow, 10 out of 10.
I agree. It was awesome. I can't wait to see what happens with that whole story.
And then we threw it backstage yet again.
Love it.
Keith Lee and QT Marshall.
Along the same lines of the Tony Nese Swerve Strickland, it was setting up a match on Rampage, basic stuff, but go ahead and tell us your favorite line.
Oh, Keith Lee said, "I have a very big back. I'm good." And just walked away from QT Marshall after QT was trying to say "Hey, we got your back, man. We don't like Team Taz." And he's like, "No, I'm good." And just walked away. Just refused service with to team up with QT.
Smart move by Keith Lee.
Very, very smart move. Oh man. And then we went down to AEW World Tag Team Championship, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with defeat, or not defeated. Well, they did defeat, but I was going to say against the acclaimed Max Caster and Anthony Bowens.
These assholes demanded to defend their title and then had the balls to make one of my favorite new teams look like shit.
Yes, dude. The acclaimed have looked so good. And then just that match is just okay.
They built their way up in the rankings to the number one spot and then got bumped back down because they lost to Darby and Sting. And they climbed their way up. They get a title match, which shouldn't have even happened because it makes no sense for those two idiots to be wrestling 3 days after a pay-per-view. And they lose to a team that just went through an all-out war, very similar to earlier. So whatever. And it was just a fine match.
No,
I'm so salty about these.
The acclaimed are so good, and we just saw them oh man, that was a disappointing one. I loved it when Anthony Bowens just kicked the hell out of Jungle Boy and a super kick. That was, of course,
good. And the rap was great.
The mic, I like it. Their finisher, the mic drop.
The mic drop.
That's always.
You really like finishers that fit a theme.
Yes, yeah, it stays with the gimmick and the characters. They can't forget about the scissoring either.
Oh no, only with consent though. They were very clear. They were very clear on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jurassic Express obviously ended up winning, but it was disappointing.
Yeah, whatever. Somebody's got to beat those schmucks.
After that, we had Jade Cargill basically ask, "Who's next?"
That she did. Did we get an answer to that?
No, I don't. I don't think so.
We didn't.
Not that I remember.
I don't remember anything on Rampage, so I don't know.
And then we had the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match with Thunder Rosa and legit Layla Hirsch.
This was very hard to watch. It was just not their best showing. I don't even know what else to say other than that. And it was a match that we went over it.
Theory.
Yeah, we went over it on the pay-per-view show. Like, this just seems like a really, really roundabout way to end up getting Thunder Rosa in a cage. I get it; it's basic wrestling stuff, but I haven't enjoyed much of it. I really haven't.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like I enjoy watching Layla Hirsch wrestle. Like, I think she's good. Like, she is good, but like everything she's done has just kind of been like thrown to the side, so to speak, where it's like Chris Statlander, like that feud. The feud was good. It was just 2 weeks too late.
Yeah.
Like, the timing wasn't there. And now legit Layla Hirsch coming off a big win, probably one of the biggest wins in AEW for her, just to lose to Thunder Rosa. Like, I was just like, that was frustrating for me as a fan of Layla Hirsch.
And I'm sure the payoff of Thunder Rosa beating Britt Baker in a cage in her hometown in Texas is all going to be worth it, and it'll be a great scene. But it just made me even more upset about how long that title match went on the pay-per-view, having to watch it was just I don't know how you do it otherwise, but that's probably why it just doesn't resonate with me, because I can't come up with a way that makes more sense. I can't. It just it all feels a lot more pointless now.
It definitely got a thumbs down for me. Like, it was just not
me as well.
After the match, Tony Schiavone announced that it was going to be a cage match.
Yep.
And then I went to Britt Baker just saying, conspiracy theory. Why does she get an eliminator match after she just lost?
As much as I'm done with the interference and all of the interference in the championship matches, and I love Britt Baker, but it's time for that reign to be over. And yet still, she has a point.
It is a very valid point.
Like, yes, her cronies did interfere. So in theory, you cannot just exclude Thunder Rosa from the title picture. But if anything, like, the way to down. Yes, the way to make Britt wrong is to just give Thunder Rosa the rematch.
Yeah.
Then it's not a conspiracy. You fucked her, and so now she's going to get a revenge in a cage. But instead, Layla Hirsch had to be a victim.
I know. Like, Tony just can't say, like, I saw what happened. Like, I was watching
live. Don't even go there. You know there's no replay.
Yeah, you're right.
Replay is inadmissible in court within the confines of AEW.
Yeah, just like MJF is the exception to the rule.
Exactly.
Yeah, they had the TNT Championship with Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara.
Another guy who probably, I don't know, how could he not have gotten out of this match? Or how could he have opted out of the match on Sunday, this Sammy Guevara? It's almost like he was asking to lose his title. He was going for a record number of defenses. And the first thing he tries is a move that could kill him. With the 630 off of the post through the table, Scorpio moves. And I will say they did do a very good job with the injury angle. I was watching it with Dan, who lives, my roommate here, for those who don't know. And he was like, oh man, I think he might be hurt. Like, even in the picture-in-picture, like, they totally got him. And so I think that most of the times it looks very contrived. And if even for a second you're sitting there going, that looked horrible, well, maybe he is hurt, then they did a good job. So
yeah, I mean, definitely didn't look like it felt good. But
no, that's part of the equation as well.
You got to be crazy enough to do it.
But they had Ty Conti run down to the aid of her boyfriend, trying to convince him to pull out of the match. Sammy refused and then kind of just got his ass kicked the rest of the time.
My favorite part, and it's very simple about that match, was Sammy sliding in or whatever. Like, once they repicked it, Scorpio Sky grabbed him and just Muay Thai knee him to the ribs. Like
genius.
Like
brilliant strategy.
Like, yeah, he's holding his ribs. Yeah, like I'm just gonna knee the hell out of it. Sure. Like like to me, that would just like make sense. Thank you.
The proverbial target on the back.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily see this coming, but
I'm happy for Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. And when we get to the Dan Lambert promo on Rampage, I have more than a few things to say about this streak that I've seen almost none of. Sucks that Sammy had to lose the title because I do like Sammy. However, it was there were just so many weird things that happened during his reign. But overall, it was a solid reign. Just, I don't know. The ending was lackluster.
Yes. I'm finally happy there's just one belt now.
Yes. The other is going in Dan Lambert's gym as a commemorative token.
Yeah.
Good for Dan.
Totally okay. I mean, as long as Scorpio Sky is just coming out with one belt.
Which he is. So we're good.
Which he is. I don't know if it was, I think Sammy Guevara said that he brings two because he unified them. They're the same belt. The exact
one was an interim title.
What is he unifying?
It's a placeholder. It just, you're 100% right. It made no sense from the beginning.
Seriously, he has to has like some friend backstage be like, dude, seriously, knock it off. Like, take one belt off.
Nobody cares enough. Shouldn't have left the inner circle.
He quit the inner circle like 5 times, it feels like.
Twice,
but
he's threatened to quit a few times and acted on it twice.
Yeah. Yeah, he wears his inner circle vest.
No, it wasn't. It was a Sammy Guevara vest. There was no inner circle because I said the same thing and then I got a closer look at it and I was like, okay, gotcha. Fine. But I also was initially like, what's going on?
Well, then just don't wear that then. Like, just don't wear a leather vest that has kind of been synonymous with.
All right, now I think you're getting a little nitpicky.
Look, man, the 2 belts have gotten to me. They have got to me.
And I thought I was a hater about some of the stuff on this episode. My God. It's 2 over, belts, man. It's
2
gone.
Belts. I needed something to keep yelling at. I'm like the old man that yells at clouds. Like, that's like my point right there.
Well, if you want to yell at clouds, let's get to Rampage.
All right, then let's
I got a couple of clouds
to
yell at on this one.
Let's kick it over.
The show overall, it was fine, but it was just fine. There were 2 matches that I really liked and some things that I could do without. What did you think of the show?
I still think it's probably I say it every week, my favorite show. Definitely got to see, the guys I want to see for the most part. I definitely think there might have been, I wouldn't say necessarily questionable. I just don't think there's some matches that kind of lived up to some potential or my expectations. But overall, I think it was good. Like, I don't really see like it was like anything bad about it.
Yeah, no, there was nothing bad. It was the class. Well, there was some things I thought that weren't necessarily bad about the show, but just little things that I'm just done with. The first being our boy Mark Quinn and these private party blokes. I just don't think he's very good. Like, I used to sit here and think, you know what? He does some innovative stuff and he's got some pretty cool moves. Like, there are a bunch of, the only thing that I think he does better than other people is that shooting star press. I don't know that a single one of his other fancy moves is better than anyone else that does fancy moves. Like, they're just not as crisp. I don't know, but like, I was not into this match. I actually wrote down, I was texting with Big Dave. I wrote down, I never ended up sending it because I kind of forgot. But I wrote down that I was bored until the 450 to the outside. And it's clear that Darby puts a lot of thought into a lot of his moves, but all Mark Quinn knows how to do is some moves. And that they're not, like I said, they're not as smooth as most of the other acrobatic people. And I don't know. It was just one of those matches where the entire match was set up so that they could do a Hardy Boys run-in that ultimately wasn't a whole lot. And I would have liked to have seen Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter get some of the time that this match took. This match should have been 2 minutes, commercial, come back, over. And then make the Hardy Boys segment extended a little bit where I'll just get to the finish of the match real quick and then you can give me your thoughts. But essentially, Darby Allin eventually overcomes the odds and beats Mark Quinn. And immediately after, everyone's trying to beat down Darby and the numbers game is catching up to him until the Hardy Boys, which, by the way, it looks totally ridiculous that they're wearing the same gear they wore when they were like 20 years old. Somehow Jeff pulls it off, but Matt, I don't think he pulls it off. That's good. However, again, the kid in me, to see them in that attire with that song, I loved it. I love the Hardy Boys. I'm always going to. So that was the segment overall, but it was like a kind of a boring match until after the commercial break. And the match was only there so that they could do the Hardy segment. And I don't know, I'm kind of just done watching matches where I know the outcome. It's not that good. And all of it is just to set up a 30-second thing that happens afterwards. Sometimes there's a little too much of that.
Yeah, so I was going to say, there's kind of been two matches the past two Rampages where I would say kind of similar to the Keith Lee, JD Drake. Keith Lee took a little too much punishment from JD Drake instead of kind of just putting him away. I think Darby was kind of selling too much for Mark Quinn. Like you said, I think if you condense it and not do as technical of a match as what kind of Darby wanted, like I don't like, to me, that's what I did not understand is when you have the athleticism of Mark Quinn, like we said, that can do an amazing shooting star press or some, flips, like give him a high flying, like get him moving. He's athletic.
Yeah.
Like that match just did not fit his style. So like, that's what I like. To me, like, I don't understand why Darby was going for more technical wrestling. Like, it's fine to start off that way, but build it right up. Like, let's get moving around. Like, to me, that's where like I thought it was missing.
Prior to the commercial, I think the simple thing was that they were just asking Mark Quinn to do things that he's not good at. And I know people got to practice and get better, but what have they been doing this whole time?
Right. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree.
Feel like we've been very negative. However, I will say, like, I would not change that I watch these shows. I love watching it every week. I don't know. It's just sometimes it just doesn't hit like you think it's going to hit.
Right.
And that was what this match was to me.
Yeah. And then after that, we go to your Scorpio Sky promo.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. Dan Lambert ripped on Wardlow, and Dan Lambert's promo was good. It's not even so much as what he said, as much as it is that Dan Lambert is a way better speaker than these two guys, and he's got no experience at this at all. And I wrote down that I hope someday Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky can sound as convincing as Dan Lambert does, and as sure of themselves when they talk as Dan Lambert does, because those two couldn't convince me of anything. They say things that sound contrived and like they don't even believe it. And the thing that I don't believe, and you can't convince me to believe it, I mean, I know it's a real thing, but like, I don't care. Scorpio Sky's 1 year long undefeated streak, dude, how much of that has even been on TV?
Oh, not a whole lot.
I would go ahead. I would bargain to say that most of it was on Dark, Elevation, or something.
I'd probably say 5 matches on Dynamite or Rampage.
You know what? I'll actually go and look at one point. I'll look and I'll tweet out the stat, because now I'm too into the Scorpio Sky rabbit hole. Like, without even talking about it anymore, I have to know. And he's TNT champion now, so we'll have plenty of time to talk about him until he loses that title. And something tells me he's not losing it to Wardlow next week. No,
because I have a feeling that MJF has got something up his sleeve.
A certain Burberry wearing fellow.
Yes. Yes, but I think Scorpio Sky is going to have it for, say, a couple months.
That seems to be the pattern, which makes me think maybe that Wardlow will win. Who knows? Ooh. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see on St. Patrick's Day. After that, we had the House of Black give their little...
what do you think of these things? These House of Black?
I have no idea. I'm lost.
Like, I think the presentation of them is really cool, and the format in which they all speak and step out.
Yes, very cool.
But do they ever talk about wrestling?
You said like something about like the black going in your eyes or something again. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Can't they just talk about wrestling? Like, It is a wrestling show. Can't they challenge someone like in explicit terms and not through vague statements about shit we've already seen?
Can they not wrestle a Death Triangle or Varsity Blondes either? Can they wrestle somebody else?
And if they are going to wrestle those guys, can you make it obvious enough so that I know what to expect? So that I don't build up expectations of a new feud?
Right.
All those dudes are awesome. And the promos are always intriguing and cool. It's just, I feel like they never talk about wrestling.
Some of the times. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the presentation of it all. It's very cool.
There's something to be desired with the substance, but the presentation is awesome.
And then we went to Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez.
I thought that this match was really good for what it was. I mean, it was a short TV match that was with a commercial slapped in the middle. But like what I liked about it is what I wish they would do more of with guys like Mark Quinn. Like they did simple stuff while still being physical in a manner that made me feel like they were genuinely competing.
Yes.
And there wasn't anything like special to the first part of the match prior to the commercial, but in general, like the intensity and the physicality with just the way that they moved around each other was so much greater than what we had seen on the show to this point, which I think
was a lot more intense. I felt like,
yes, yeah, absolutely. And I thought that first part just, I mean, like I said, I wish they had more time because it went to commercial really quick.
Yes. I was going to say for me, like, I like, for kind of a bigger women's match, I'd like to see it give it a little bit more time.
Yep.
Because I think that's to me what kind of left a lot to be desired was just like, I wanted it to keep going.
Yeah.
Like so I think that's where like
or at least like to see the whole thing.
Right.
Not put into a commercial, like that also probably would have helped.
But yeah, I mean.
Back from break, by the way. I will say that back from break, it did pick up. It didn't last very long after they came back from break, but there was the cool butterfly suplexes. And then Jamie Hayter did one of my new favorite moves, the throw someone into the ropes and then just sprint after him and forearm them. Great move.
Oh, yeah.
But
reinventing the wheel here.
Yes, yeah, I love that. But ultimately, it led to Jamie Hayter getting spider suplexed off the top rope. And it mattered not because Britt Baker came in and might have concussed Mercedes Martinez for real with some of those shots and then pushed her off. Those were brutal. And Mercedes runs into a clothesline and gets pinned. So that was that match, which I liked until the end. Rosa runs down to make the save because, of course, at this point, it almost goes without saying that the Good Doctor and company beat down whoever was wrestling after the match.
Yep.
Which Rosa ran in and made the save. So we're inching there. Eventually, Rosa will be champion. We're crawling there at this point.
We actually had to drag ourselves back just to move forward. Then we threw to Sheeta's video package about Serena Deeb.
I know it was pre-taped and they can do more takes and whatever, but I thought this was like the best promo in English that Sheeta has done.
I thought this was really good, honestly.
This was awesome. Yeah. I know that it kind of had fizzled a little bit because they wrestled so many times so frequently, but I really hope that they can drum up some interest in this rematch because that's a great promo to start it off after the attack with the kendo stick. The good follow-up. I hope that they build it back up because those two are awesome, and I don't think they got what they deserved the first couple goes around. See where it goes. Yep. See if it has a little bit more heat than last time.
I hope it does too.
Yeah.
Then we had our Limitless Keith Lee versus QT Marshall.
You lead off. What did you think?
I liked it, and this because I just like seeing QT Marshall just kind of, flop around and just
of course, it's great.
So to me, I got my money's worth out of it, but that's all I'd probably say is I got my money's worth out of it.
Oh yeah, I said that the highlight of the match for me is one that QT is the perfect geek to take a headbutt from Keith Lee and sell it the way that he sold it. Secondly, at a certain point in the match, Keith Lee did the double overhand chop on QT.
Oh my god,
which was also awesome. And Ricky Starks immediately goes, "I don't think that's legal." And Excalibur, to his credit, goes, "A double overhand chop? And without even any bit of hesitation, Ricky Starks goes, yes. Ricky's just really growing into his own on commentary. Even when he's wrong, he sticks to his guns, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, there's no Jericho on commentary. I think we definitely forgot to say something about that. So it was just the 3-man crew with Taz, Excalibur, and Ricky.
I can only handle one guy yelling at me for 60 minutes, so I'm glad that Jericho sat this one out. Oh, and it was super impressive, the throw Keith Lee did on QT Marshall. I mean, it wasn't as spectacular as the Isaiah Cassidy one. However, he did launch that dude, and QT is a big guy to throw as easily.
Said he was like 230, Excalibur. So.
And I believe it. Thick guy.
And then I think Ricky was also like, I've seen him throw farther.
And he goes, Hobbs, I've seen you throw guys further than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys were awesome. I will say, though, they didn't put a lot of forward thinking into this because it took Hook less time to beat QT Marshall than it took Keith Lee to beat QT Marshall. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't have the stopwatch. It certainly felt that way, which maybe
I was going to say
how good Hook is.
Yeah, very well could be. But I was going to say, was Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado down on ringside when?
Yes, they were.
With Hook and QT?
Oh, no, not that time.
So I was going to say that could have
fair,
quote unquote delayed because Camarado did reach in and grab the leg of Keith Lee.
Fair. I concede.
He lost some momentum,
I concede my point.
And there's one thing that I thoroughly enjoy that Keith Lee does, and I think, granted, it's probably because of some of his size, but I just think he does it better than a lot of people, is the recoil.
Oh, yeah.
So when he bounces, he literally gets a little bit of the spring, but jumps back up a little bit. So it's like he makes every move pop, even a little bit more. So that's what I like. The little things about Keith Lee, I do enjoy that.
Yeah, Keith Lee's the man, and his slams just have that little extra oomph.
Yeah,
it almost looks like they're hitting the ground so hard that they both bounce back up off the mat.
Right,
it is incredible.
So that I do enjoy that. And then Keith Lee, does his thing and puts QT away, and the Factory had to come out and attack.
Yeah, and that followed with Team Taz coming down to attack. And Powerhouse Hobbs got the upper hand in this one and ended up hitting Keith Lee with a big spine buster, which was also impressive.
Oh, that was... And that move that Will Hobbs do, I mean, obviously Keith Lee, he goes into it, but
sure,
gets the height and throws him down hard.
Speaking of height and being thrown down hard, I almost forgot to mention the Nick Camarado pop-up powerbomb. Oh, my. How talented are those guys to pull that off at that size and make it look effortless?
AEW has something in Nick Camarado. They really do.
You compare it to them trying to powerbomb Eddie Kingston through that table, and that took that was an effort and a half to make sure that they didn't kill him. And then these guys, I get it. It was off the apron through the table, but these dudes, Keith Lee just hoisted that man up. Camarado had perfect balance. It was just super impressive.
Yeah, I definitely think age has to do something with that.
Probably.
But yeah, there was a struggle with that. He getting him up.
It was.
But yeah, I mean, Nick Camarado just, kind of hopping right up and Keith Lee picking him up, holding him there and throwing him down. I mean, impressive.
Super impressive, yeah.
And that's another big guy that, obviously doesn't get enough recognition, but, big guy can move.
He sure can.
And then we capped it off with the main event. Swerve versus Tony Nese.
I thought this match was awesome.
Yeah, it was very good. I really enjoyed it.
I know that there's a lot of wrestlers on the roster, and this is kind of where my stance about maybe it's time to part ways with some of these guys. What's it going to take for me to get... Tony Nese doesn't need to beat a guy like Darby Allin or Jungle Boy. What's it going to take for me to get Tony Nese being the guy who's a regular on television and in matches? He's a great wrestler. I don't need to see people... If you've got great wrestlers, just put on some great wrestling matches. And if people can't figure it out on Darker Elevation, I mean, I don't know. I watched this match and was reminded of how much talent they have and the number of people that could be put in a main event slot. And I was glad that tonight it was these two guys. Swerve, I think I texted you in the middle of the match. I described him as a high flyer of a technical wrestler in a sense that he'll do all sorts of springboards and like short little jumps and all kinds of cool like twists and maneuvers, but they're always into the most basic wrestling maneuvers. And he just makes them look so good. Very creative guy.
Yeah, no, I was just say you definitely nailed it right there. I think the creativity goes along with it because there was one that I have never seen, but it was very simple. It was just like a simple trip. He like rolled right into like a trip, and I'm like, you don't see that. Like
a misdirection, forward roll, and then his foot lined up perfectly on Nice's knee and just like kicked it out from under him. Like, how did they get that so perfect? Those things are impressive. Yeah. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So it was, and I think they just had such good chemistry, in the match. Like everything flowed. Like every move was executed basically to perfection.
Yep. These guys are every bit the professional wrestlers that they claim to be. That is for sure. And Swerve, by the way, that finisher that he does, I think he does a number of things for a finisher, but that looked dangerous.
The stomp to like the chest.
With the guy sitting up, and he kind of like missed and also hit him with his knee to, tone that down a bit. We don't need to kill anybody.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and even, I'm afraid of like basically stomps, like when people like do the, like Andrade's really good at it and he doesn't hurt anyone. And then like his looks vicious.
Yeah.
But like, I know like Finn Balor does the same thing. Like his look really vicious, but like
it also looks like it hurts.
Yes. But like
he just does a standing stomp from the top rope.
And this one like didn't look as vicious, but man, it looked a lot worse than what they do.
Yes, it does. Because like at least Finn Balor is a smaller dude who kind of like hits into it and then immediately falls forward or falls backwards. Like he sticks people sometimes, but there's a real effort made not to kill anybody.
Right.
And Swerve almost killed this guy.
Yeah, and even Andrade will like do it and like immediately kind of like bounce off. Like he finds a way to like kind of relieve some of the pressure of the direction of the hit. He tries to like, change the momentum of the hit. But yeah, that one looked a little sketch.
Yeah, it sure did. But that was the finish of the match. I mean, there was a lot of moves, a lot of back and forth. The Tony Nese hitting the double springboard moonsault and then a 450 later on, I thought he looked really good. And it was a quality main event. That's for sure.
The only match I do remember seeing Tony Nese was that Sammy Guevara match.
That's the only one I can remember too. He's probably a Scorpio Sky AEW Dark alumni.
Yeah, it said he is undefeated this year.
Of course he is.
Everyone who comes up for their one match has been undefeated this year.
Yeah, they've done a unique job of creating tropes in wrestling that haven't been used in forever, and they've got like 14 people undefeated, and only half of them are even ranked. Oh God.
Strength of schedule. We're gonna find the strength of schedule here.
Honestly, I think if you look into that, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, I know.
Overall, like there was a lot of wacky stuff, and there was plenty of things that I know I complained about. That's why I said this might be the episode where people think I'm turning heel. But don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed the Dynamite show more than the Rampage show because it felt like more of a happening. Like it felt like there was more advancement in things, whereas this was just like the secondary storyline advancement. Here's what QT's up to. Here's what the private party. Watch a private party geek wrestle. See a new guy debut in a match that is going to be good. Like it was a paint by numbers Rampage, but I just like Dynamite more because there was so much more advancement.
Helps when you have Jeff Hardy making his
of course, AEW of course it does
debut.
But that being said, there was a lot of wacky stuff on that Dynamite show, and there was less wacky stuff on that Rampage show. So I like both shows. It was interesting watches coming out of a pay-per-view this week.
Yes. for such a great pay-per-view.
Yes. Some of the directions they went, it was like, oh man, home run. And then some of the directions they were like, wait, what does this have to do with what just happened at the pay-per-view?
All
but
I can
overall,
say is
another solid week of AEW in my books. I was entertained thoroughly.
So now we're down to one TNT Championship belt. So I'm happy.
And you can sleep easy the rest of the weekend now.
I can.
That.
Yes.
You got it.
My
all
job
off your
here.
chest.
My job here is done. Is getting both belts off Sammy Guevara.
Yes, your mission has been accomplished. Your petition, so many signatures, e-signatures, like just unbelievable. You made it happen, man. All you.
I went for it. You know, you got to chase your dreams sometimes, and I finally climbed the mountain.
You didn't just chase that dream. You caught it. You tracked it down. You caught it, and you made it your bitch. No more 2 titles.
No more 2 titles. So yeah, that great week for me.
Yeah. Overall, I got no more complaints. I was happy I watched both shows. Looking forward to where some of the new stuff develops. So
yeah, excited for the St. Patrick's Day Dynamite.
The St. Patrick's Day Slam, baby.
Looking forward to it.
Any closing thoughts, Fish?
I do not actually. I guess probably the biggest thing is can't wait for Keith Lee and Will Hobbs.
I can't either. That's going to be great.
It's going to be a good one.
Well, I'm Matt Gould.
And I'm Ryan Fish.
And thank you for checking out the Gould-Fish pod this week. Peace.